Life is way too short to be scared. In my life, if I literally was scared, I wasn't taking any risk, I wasn't trying, I wasn't doing anything to push me forward, then where would I end up? Most people think you'll end up at the same place. But no, it's worse. You end up at a worse place because you're literally not taking the actions to get further to where you want to be, what you truly desire, what your heart says, what your gut says, your intuition, right? Your standard. What is success for you, right? When you ask all these questions, what is it really saying, right? A lot of people live in, if only I had this, then I would have that. If only this happened, then this would happen. And if that happened, then this would happen. And then the next thing would happen. And so, because of that one reason, years and years and years ago, your origin story or the reason you're a failure, right? Whatever that identity you give yourself of the why, right? That reason. It's one more reason. But what's life? There's only one. There's literally only one timeline for you to either be scared, be happy, be joyous, be courageous, and all of these things. In my personal life, if I didn't take risk, it's how you look at it, it's how you frame it, right? Risk, people just think it's a bad word. Oh my gosh, it's risky, it's scary. Fear, uncertainty, doubt, these type of things, they're more common in the stock market because when there's money, you want, hey, money's black and white. I want to know what my black and white numbers are going to become in the long term, but I also want them to be really big. But I also don't want to take that much risk because what if, 2008 happens and my portfolio drops 30%? What am I going to do? What is retirement? What is what? So all of this is the system saying, hey, if you do these steps, you're going to be okay. What we've seen is the system isn't perfect. And you probably know that if you're watching this video. So what is the next step in life? Is it not going through the actions that you know are going to get you to where you are? And since nothing's guaranteed, many people say, hey, if I do these 10 steps, but it's still not guaranteed that I'm going to amount to anything. So what do? They just don't, right? A lot of people, they get comfy, they get complacent, they get lazy, they get all of these words, right? But in the end, it's your life. So coming back to how I came to be here, I looked at every single conversation, not as a, oh my gosh, I'm scared, I'm anxious, and all these weaker elements in society that people say. It's all fear-based, right? The inverse for me was like, hey, I watched this movie when I was younger, and there's a guy who basically, if you know this, I think it's called Stalin. The actor is Chiranjeevi, a very famous Telugu Indian actor. This guy was basically like, if I help somebody, three things, right? I help them like three favors, basically. But then you tell the next guy who you helped, like, hey, don't help me again, go help three other people, right? And then you're basically creating this Ponzi pyramid scheme of people helping each other. And the whole nation is so much happier because everything's hunky-dory, right? Now, what is the angle of this story? The angle is, if this person didn't have this intention, or for me, if I didn't have that feeling like, hey, I'm going to talk to literally everyone and say hi, hello, because that's just who I was, right? You can say he's a dog type of personality. You can say he's super social. Hey, this guy's crazy. He's a lunatic. But in the end, everyone knows me. And I wasn't doing it for that reason. It was a byproduct of me just doing what I wanted to do. What was considered risky, right? The first part of this video is, hey, what's risky may not be risky for someone else. As they say, if you literally do a few things that a lot of other folks don't, that already is above average, right? So if the average person is doing, 100 things, it's not like you need to do 101 and you're so much better. But it's like, what are those things? What is the path that if you do these things, what happens next? And what happens is that, yeah, there's two groups of people that are willing to do and people that are scared to do. It's very simple. And like, which side are you on? Now, let's say you're on the path where it's like, hey, I'm going to take these risks, right? So what happens? So for me, I basically, beatboxing. It's making music with your mouth. I'm a beatboxer. I'm many other things too. But it's a title that in my formative younger years, it was basically what shaped me. What it really meant was, hey, I have this skill that I was just learning for myself. And afterwards, I got that much better and that much better. And then eventually I was able to teach people. And then there's communities slash events that, it's like the Olympics of beatboxing. It sounds niche, but it's kind of like magic or yo-yoing or Rubik's cubing, like smaller things, right? So it seems. But as they say, the riches are in the niches and a very tight-knit community and all those business outcomes. But if I was scared, if, literally so many people will be like, dude, shut up. Can you shut the fuck up? And what it was because I was practicing. I was taking a risk because I literally left away my ego. I left away, what will people think? I didn't even have those, like, in my filtering. And that is the luckiest thing that could have happened, because ignorance is bliss. And from there, it literally went from, hey, I'm now making these events, and now the new world champions, the new top of the top, right? Like, yeah, we're all buddy, but it wasn't like, hey, like, oh my gosh, Mr. Actor, actress, can I have your autograph? No, it's like, we're working together. Like, we are the same team. And you can never access that type of network by just like knocking on doors, or, if you cold DM someone, that's great. But in the end of the day, it's going to come down to who you know, right? And how do you get to know more people? It's about exposing yourself. It's about being there, right? So this video is, hey, like, don't be a little bitch, because life is only one. So if you don't take the risk, no one's going to take it on your behalf. No one's going to feed you every day or give you shelter. And if you have that situation, that's great, right? Some people would be jealous, envious, all those things. But because you have those guardrails or safety nets, right, it may not push you to go all the way. What does that mean? If you literally have a reason of why, whether you're fully fed or not fed, that why will bring you up to some next level of, I gotta do it, because you're tricking your brain into, I need to survive like this. So if life is so short and you don't take the risk, later what happens? You're answerable to yourself. You're gonna look in the mirror, and it's gonna be a question that only you can answer. Do you have any regrets in your life? What is that thing that's going through your head of, hey, if, all of these things happen, you would have had a great life, and you can complain, and, that's great. But what is the inverse of that? The inverse is, hey, oh my gosh, throughout my journey, right? Why they say the destination doesn't matter. You really put in that effort, that A-grade effort, consistently, right? And you're experimenting, getting 1% better each and every time, iteration, what have us. There's no way you fail. There's no world in which you really failed, because the ending, I'll tell you, at the end, at the peak, at the top of the mountain, when you're all alone, right? And, you can say, health, wealth, relationships are the happiness metrics. Let's say your health is great, your wealth, your, sky's the limit, and you're like already past where you could have ever expected. And what's the other one? Relationships, you got folks around you, they love you, you love them, they're all happy, all the things, right? Friends, family, lovers, whatever, right? So what happened here? You look back and you're like, are you really going to remember the one thing that was so successful? Maybe. Are you going to remember the one thing that you didn't do that maybe you wish you did? Probably. Most likely it's that one. And it's because we're humans. We're afraid, programmed wise, fear, we're afraid of scarcity. We're afraid of, oh my gosh, if I eat and he doesn't, at least I ate, but then the next time that could be me, so what do I do? And you become like in this loop, basically, because in the end we're all looking, we could say to be fed, you could say we're all parasites, we're all consumers, right? And in the end, once you've consumed more than your fair share, what is a fair share is a totally different topic. But for me, I would say, like, all right, once you have whatever your standard of, hey, maybe it's, I have $500 in my checking account and that's my safety net. Maybe that number for you is, hey, I have 500K in investments and I feel more at ease, but I wish it was 5 million. Maybe the 5 million guy's like, man, I wish I had 25 mil. I got a family. I want them to be super wealthy and passive income, and I don't want them to do anything, right? There's just different levels to it. But how did any of those people get there, right? They had to take the first step. If I didn't take the first step of figuring out, like, hey, I want to toy around with the skill, this hobby became what? It became something more like a profession. This profession could have became basically a life path. And it all started with me willing to take that next step. Because I could just be a hobbyist forever. Why do I need to create events? I said, hey, there could be a future in understanding that if you have the top of the top people in any type of industry, right, and you bring them together, and you bring people that want to see these people together, it sounds like common sense. Like you put Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, right, Pitbull, all these guys in a concert, people more often than not, depending on the age group, they're going to go to these shows until either the fame goes away or what have us, right? So fast forward, the risk was, hey, I want to fund this event, but I don't really want to use my salary money. Now, there's so many reasons of like why not to do what I did, right? But how I did it was through more creative means. You can see it on the main channel. I talk about, hey, credit card, points, miles. It's not about debt. It's about using these type of tools, right, to subsidize the event cost, but also bring people out for this event. That was a selling point from all over the world, which in a pre-COVID world is almost unheard of. Now, things are more online, things are different, and that's fine. But full circle, right? In my life, if I fast forward to the end, and I was like, dang, I had the community, I had the capital, I had everything, but I just didn't have the effort to bring everyone together. It comes back to the why. Why in the world did I even want to do this, right? The reason was, I'm scared of a lot of things, was scared, will be scared, all those things, right? Fear. But this same video is to help me get out of those fears that I'm more fearful of, right? Those actions that I need to take for what I'm looking forward in the future. But at the time, what happens? The reason was I genuinely loved the craft. I genuinely believed beatbox is family. I was like, I just brainwashed myself and I was like, family is number one. So we take care of what's needed. And with that frame of reference, you could say I took it all the way, and that's what happened. But if life is so short, you can ask me the inverse. What else is on my mind, right? If I got to the top of something and I'm happy, what happened? Well, what happened is humans always want more. And because life is so short, I look at it like, hey, I got the framework, the path. I know exactly how to go from zero to this step. If I needed to redo it again, I can do it faster, better, optimized. Same thing that Mr. Beast says. Take away all my subscribers. If you don't know, Mr. Beast is the most subscribed channel on YouTube. He basically was like, hey, I know the tactics, the strategies, the human psychology, all the things to see that growth. Of course, nothing's guaranteed, but the principles are there to supersede, maybe not, the biggest YouTuber once more, right, from a fresh channel. Yet, it's the same concept, right? So in this case, I was like, well, now there's new risks I can take, right? And so because, as I keep saying, life is short, you only have so much time. Time is finite. There's people that are afraid of death. There's people that are afraid of, oh my gosh, my impending doom, because I only have so much time left on this planet. What is all of this, right? It's all this made up scarcity in the mind. But assuming that the game is such, right? This is the game. This is how much time you have. You don't know how much you have time left, how much time you have left. And so what happens at the end of the day? The end of the day is it's all you to bear the cross of your decisions, or hey, this happened, it's my fault or not, or this could happen. Like all of those things will always be there. But when you look at your own life of what you need to do, what is that most important next step? What is the thing you need to do to achieve the next goal? It all just comes back to you literally cannot afford to be scared, because later there's such a big price to pay, whether you call it ignorance debt, technical debt is a formal word in more of the software engineering world. And you can get away all the debt, right? But what happens, you're really not developing during that time. And really you're not seeing compounding gains because there's nothing being like +1, like +1% type of thing. It's pretty much like you're cleaning up what's backwards, unless if the front end or something in, ahead of it is working that much better, right? So if you get like an upgraded engine, maybe the whole system is going to work that much better. But you can't just replace that type of situation. We are not in the Altered Carbon, it's a show on Netflix, show yet where your consciousness is on this hard drive basically, which you can just insert into a human sleeve. So that way you can have multiple lifetimes and you look different, but your knowledge is there and experience and all these things. But we're not there yet. So if you were to wake up every morning and ask yourself, am I gonna get up and do the thing that I'm thinking about that I know will move the needle? It's like the answer, but then why aren't you doing it? So the reason is, in my honest opinion, is it comes back to your why, right? Why am I making these videos? Yeah, the main channel has a lot of stories because of my beatbox background and how I use these tools to do something else, and now how those tools have helped me accelerate my financial life, right? And to me, relationships, I don't know about you, right? But once you finish high school, college, maybe you have a job and you meet the same few people, it's hard to find community. Yeah, there's churches and there's religious places, there's clubs, there's meetups, there's a bunch of stuff, right? Networking events, whatever. So there's a lot of ways to meet people, right? But there's not a way to say, hey, every day we are going to meet in this place from this time to this time, which is why they kind of say, hey, those childhood friends, before money's introduced, and you see like how that person is in their daily regimen, right? You kind of really know the character. That's why even big business deals you see in the future, you look back, you know, if it's two kind of childhood friends, or like, hey, that guy went to my school and he's a bully or he's a bad guy, that could tarnish millions, billions of dollars of deal, if not more. So we're all human, man. We're all human. So I will say I'm also human. And what I've seen throughout my life and my journey is like, hey, I'm an investor outside of everything that we do for like creating value, right? Like content creation, all these things. And for me, what I've seen value in is, yes, the stock market, yes, the cryptocurrency markets. Real estate has been basically the bread and butter. In other words, from an appreciation standpoint, your net worth going up, and then your actual cash flow, which is possible, not just in the short term, but in the longer term, right? It's just how you frame it. So I'm basically venturing into a deal, right? I'm creating this deal because this video is sponsored by me, and this is basically a way to add value to us. It's like, hey, I literally would invest in a Hyatt, Wyndham, IHG, Hilton, Marriott, these type of hotels. You tell me it's coming up around the block, I will say take my money, because it's a proven cash flow methodology. Obviously, I'm not saying like in the middle of nowhere, right? I'm saying at a very pristine prime area. So if you're interested into something like this, right, where basically, hey, there's land, we've started construction, right? And in this project of 250 hotel rooms, right, we're looking at, hey, you own the land, right, if you're an investor. That land will be developed, so there's appreciation there. This project is a commercial project because it's a hotel. So what happens is you get land appreciation, you get, now it's developed, right? That's the second thing. Then you have the fact that you're actually getting cash flow from a finally built building, right? So you basically have different ways of appreciation. And if you want to give that right to, you know, rental cash flow to somebody else in the future, you can do that. And the premium would be crazy because you just can't have access to the deal. And then the market rate itself has gone up, you know, significantly because of literally all the reasons I just said. And from a rental cash flow perspective, you don't need to wait till, hey, this hotel, you know, concept, project, whatever is open, right? You don't need to look at it like that. Look at it like this, like, hey, I can go to the banks, but because it's not a personal / residential, it's like a commercial loan. It's not a joke. And those interest rates, I'd rather give it to us, where I'm like, hey, if I could get access to the deal, I'd love to talk with you. So I'm basically putting that out there for all of us to say, hey, you want X number of percent, right, per month / per year. It's paid out monthly, right? It's like basically me saying thank you before the project is complete. And then you have all the rewards to be reaped afterwards because the project is actually cash flowing. So then you have the same, if not more, cash flows month over month, and you have appreciation through all the reasons that I just said. So if you're interested, investments are around 15,000 USD to 3 million USD. I'm saying USD depending on where we're watching from. Check out the link in the description below. It's to talk with me one-on-one. Happy to give us all the details, everything we need to know about it. Very passionate about it and really trying to put the word out there. But with that, life is too short. And just like this, I'm willing and wanting, it's my desire to take this next step. And that's what's happening. So what's next for you is the question only you can answer for yourself. With that, like, share, subscribe, all the things. See you in the next one. Peace for now.